Hey, it's Matt. Welcome to another episode of Unbearable 73. I'm going to be talking about Shogun 2024, Episode 4, The Eightfold Fence. So before we do my little skim through the episode, I would say this episode suffers. It's the least best episode, right? Meaning it's like I really like every episode has been building. The first was really good. The second one was almost great. The third one was great. Then this one kind of steps back to being maybe slightly worse than the first episode in the sense of, and mainly because it's a transitional episode. Like if you read the novel, for example, or if you just watched the original miniseries, so you know the story is playing out. You don't know even though they're putting parts of the story that were in the novel that were excised from the original miniseries. You know that you have to have chunks of things occur that are going to be little vignettes, so they're going to happen without necessarily having a meta story to tie them all together, right? So I think the first third of this episode suffers a bit from that, in that you have to get from where we left off last episode, which was the Great Escape, and then the bonding between Toranaga and Blackthorn, right? Establish him as a Hatamoto, and then you go into this episode, and you have all the political machinations of Toranaga beginning to be being brought to the next level, so to speak. How he's manipulating Yabu, who's trying to manipulate Ishida and Toranaga. Okay, because despite, and this is one thing that the show doesn't make as clear. Okay, Ishida. The reason Ishida is not just outright betraying Toranaga is because he can't see how Toranaga can win, but he has faith that Toranaga can't lose. Meaning he knows Toranaga is renowned in the book setting, right, for being a masterful strategic and tactical thinker. He outwits everyone. He's smarter than everyone. Everything you think he knows that times 10 more, and Yabu knows that, even though it looks to him that Toranaga's lost, and he's trying to jump off the ship and become a vassal of another man, so he doesn't have to commit suicide along with the other direct vassals of Toranaga, which will be made to do so, right? He's trying to jump ship. He hasn't outright done it because he knows or has faith that he knows Toranaga has something else going on, other things going on. Right? So that's kind of why he's ambivalent. And Toranaga knows that, okay? He's using Yabu. He knows Yabu is telling certain things to Ishida and his opponents. He knows that Yabu is basically out for himself, who wants to survive more and gain power more than anything. So he's taking advantage of that. And that relationship throughout the novel, throughout the story presented in the novel and the miniseries, works as well as it does to the point that it gets to where it ends, okay? And it does end at one point, and it does not end in Yabu's favor, I'll put it that way. So we have that, and I think, and that's kind of what we had to show some of those events going on. We had to establish Omi as smarter than Yabu in some ways, less experienced but smarter than Yabu. Okay, that's a big thing that has to get established. They had to do that here, right? We had to clarify Fiji's role. And it's like I said, there's a lot of transitional stuff. Then when you get to the final 30 episode, where it just takes off and it elevates, that's what made it. That's why I didn't really get down on the episode, right? Because of the final third of it, so to speak. How could they have fixed this? My opinion, because they did skip over some events that must have occurred for the logic of the plot to occur, but were not acted out. They could have put more of that in. Maybe made 2 episodes, or took it. So instead of 10 episodes of Shogun, you get 11 episodes. I think, for example, that could have been one way to do it. One way to do it. I don't know. Not overly complaining. I'm just talking about my thoughts on the episode. As far as Um, I mean, also, let's just talk my way through it now. There's no point to belabor it. So we're right after. So we're this is Name Hatamoto, Green Honor, the swimming, the end of the last episode. Now this is a this is a delivery service to Omi, who is that what's happened. Tornaga is coming home with Yabu's forces. They had when that happens, they have to have a big celebration on Tornaga, blah blah. That's a standard sort of stuff, right? So, we're going on the grieving bit here. This is Mariko and Fiji sort of commiserating their roles, and then to maintain their honor, they have to serve. They have to find a way to maintain a will to live and a way to maintain their honor. Because Mariko can't commit seppuku because she's Catholic, and Fiji can't because she's been ordered not to. She's now again. Remember, they're samurai. They're in the samurai caste. They have the same. They have the same sort of rules they have to follow that their husbands do. Okay, so bear that in mind when you watch these scenes. So this is Tornaga explaining his political gambit, but no, he does not explain to Yabu. If you look on Yabu's face, okay, great acting here, okay, because these actors know the storyline, how it's going to play out because they read the whole script, right? He can't figure out what Tornaga is doing. Tornaga is telling him just enough to keep Yabu from going over to his sheet up right away, just having his men just overwhelm everyone, take all their heads and be done with it, okay? So these facial expressions right here are amazing level of actors conveying what's going on. Tornaga knows he's manipulating Yabu, okay? But now look at the son. That's Tornaga's surviving son over there. Well, he has more than one, but he can't figure out what his father is doing either, right? He's looking at his father like, why? Wait a minute, father. What? So just bear that in mind. These are the people of the town that they're going. These are all Yabu's men. And the honor of the visiting dignitaries and all that. And Tornaga basically takes command of the situation. Even though the Yabu's men and Yabu has a lot of power, he's showing courage and he's going to issue praise to Yabu and gain control of the crowd's morale, so he's a lot less likely to betray him in the short run. So, this is, again, now there's a change here. So, I'm not saying it's a bad change, okay? But they've changed Blackthorn's character slightly from the book, in the sense of he's a less worldly man. In other words, like we'll get to the scene later where we're talking about training with Yabu. He also trained them with the guns, okay? He was a seaborn soldier, as he points out, so a sailor, a naval man, but he knows his way around tactics and strategy. He's a very educated, I don't want to say over the top genius, but he knows a lot of stuff. And I think they're downplaying his intelligence and his accomplishments in this version versus what they did. Well, obviously, what is in the book and what they did in the previous version. For some reason, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Maybe they thought. I think they're also downplaying some of the stuff that Tornado is capable of, as well. So, now one of the things here's a way they could have panned this episode out and made two. So, in the book, Blackthorn picks up Japanese culture very quickly, as you see it's superior to, in many ways, to his home culture. Like in the novel, he is often commented, he thinks about his wife at home, and he thinks about, now he's aware of the odor from the lack of bathing, like how when he goes home, he's going to have to convince her to start bathing all the time, could imagine touching her again. He gained, like, he also begins to understand that the polite facade the samurai maintains because they can do violence at a drop of a hat. So this is not a politeness they maintain for, because it's a good. They want to be polite. It's the counterbalance to they're very violent by design, by nature and training. It's a very violent society. Okay. Blackthorn picks up in the novel. Blackthorn studying all this constantly. You hear him thinking about it and analyzing and all that. And here, they could have done more of that, and that would have made this chunkiness of this early episode better, I think. Right? But he does pick up on stuff through like I said. There's pieces missing in here that they could have filmed, which would have made it smoother. But it would had to have occurred for him to even be how he is by the end of the episode. Like the whole different in culture between what pillowing and all that. I was trying to owe me about the spies, tornadoes all over the place. Now this is Blackthorn beginning to understand. This is them saying he's beginning to understand the Japanese culture. Blackthorn convinces them the canon, especially his canon, which is superior to the ones the Portuguese have. That's a technological thing from the book. The detail that's maybe lost a little bit here. Now this is a plot from the book. She is not a geisha. She's basically a formal sort of high-end. I hate saying high-end prostitute, but that's what she is. She's there's a name for it, like so. And Omi is in love with her and wants to buy her contract so he can marry her, and that's part and parcel of Japanese culture, and that plays out in the book. Now, Americos goes writing down everything he's teaching. So what happens is this guy and his team come from Lord Ishida to Yabu with an order he should return to the Council of Regents and present himself in Osaka Castle. So he left without permission, blah, blah, blah. And what happened, and if he does that, he's going to have to commit seppuku. Okay, he knows that. So now he's been a rock in a hard place. He's trying to think of, how can I get out of this with my head intact and not, and because, without starting a war and whatever. And now this is interesting. So this is a very significant moment, okay? So this is when Blackthorn begins to bridge a cultural gap via his relationship with Fiji. He's trying, and he's learning that, this matters later in the books. Because Fiji does her duty as his consort very, very particularly. By the way, in case you're curious, I don't know why they don't translate it, but they're eating natto, which is basically fermented soybeans. Now that's Omi and Yabu talking about. It's unfortunate that Jozen came and saw the cannons, and what can they do about it? And the plan, Omi comes up showing his cunning, is to basically manipulate Tornaga's son to deal with the problem. By the way, in the subtitles, I don't understand why they're doing it. Because the subtitles are supposed to be, like, for example, not the subtitles, but when we hear Mariko and Blackthorn talking, they're talking Portuguese, not English. Remember that. Even though Mariko does know some English from the novel, and Blackthorn teaches her more of it, okay? They're both like polyglots. So she should be calling him Lord Toranaga in English, not Toranaga-sama. Now, as a person who's watched anime for a long time, you know, where the subs, not the dubs, but in subs, you'll hear them talking in Japanese, and you'll see all English in the subs, except they'll use the Japanese honorifics and stuff. I'm used to that, but I think for accuracy of translation in Portuguese, well, in the English, and what we're hearing in English, which is Portuguese, you should be calling him Lord Toranaga. And this is, of course, we get to the point where Blackthorn and Mariko's semi-illicit romance starts. Blackthorn, it's one thing in the novels, and all due respect to Cabot here, okay? He doesn't physically look like Richard Chamberlain. Women loved Richard Chamberlain, okay? Hell, gay men love Richard Chamberlain, and I'm a manly man. I give him, he's handsome as hell. You know, he's the Brad Pitt of his day, right? And so the idea that the Japanese women were swooning over him because he's big. He's like 6 foot something. They were in the novel. I think they were even like jokes about he must be big down there too, and they would giggle over it and all that, right? So this Cabot, I think his name is. He is not, even though he might be the same size as, in terms of height as Chamberlain. I don't know. I'd have to look that up. He doesn't have the same presence, and so I'm not saying that matters, but it matters for how Mariko considers him very attractive, like overpoweringly to the point that she knows she has to resist it. But she decides, but then she meets his intellect and realizes he's a way she could have, you know, the romance she wants, which she can't have with Bontaro. So that's kind of what goes on here, okay? And this guy doesn't have the physical charisma of Richard Chamberlain. I have to keep saying it. I hate to keep saying it, but it matters in certain times. Of course, here, there could be no admission, of course, that was Mariko. And it was Mariko. Even though, and Fiji's helping her cover for it, because that's what all noble ladies do. And, of course, we get, you know, the opening of the war. As they use the cannon on Ishida's men. Now, Yabu knows Omi knows he's committed to the war, because Omi knows that Yabu has to side with Toranaga. He knows Toranaga. He has faith in Toranaga, right? So, Yabu, however, is still trying to play the middle ground, and now he can't anymore. He has to be all in for Toranaga. So, that's basically the episode. It was really, like I said, it was not quite as good as the first episode, not because it was bad, just because I felt that first third to first half was a little chunky and not cohesive in terms of plot flow, because we had to do a lot of little things and not all of it related together. Really enjoyed it. Again, you know, we don't have a lot of Saneda in this, you know, so we don't have him, but hold on. I don't have this ready in case I forget the actor's name. But Asano, his name, I've seen this guy in other stuff. Tadano Asano. Let's see what he's been in, because I know I've seen him in tons of other stuff. Okay. He is the guy right now, in my opinion, who is stealing this whole 3 or 4 episodes. I love the way he's playing Yabushige. So what have we seen him in? We've seen him in some Japanese stuff I remember, of course. And then Ichi the Killer. Oh my god, what an awesome movie. Zatoichi, the Zatoichi movie in 2003. Loved that movie. He was a supporting character. Wasn't he, I think we talked about this before. He was in that. He was in that awesome. I love Battleship. I know people hate it, but I loved it personally. He was in a live action Tokyo Zombie. I've seen that. If you like Tokyo Zombie, you'll like the live action. Yeah, Battleship. He was Yugi Nagata, the captain of Battleship. Yeah. Thor Darkness, Hogan, and we've talked about him before. So we've seen him in a lot of stuff, and he's been really good. Okay, and this he's stealing the role as Yabu, stealing it. That is a pivotal character, especially early on. Anna Sawai, who's played Mariko, she's doing a great job, but she hasn't really been harsh, strong parts. Will come, I think, in the next 3 episodes, if I got the time, if I remember the plot of the book correctly. So, she'll have some really strong parts right in there, okay? That being said, I don't want to belabor this. It's been 20 minutes. Hope you enjoyed my review of Shogun 2024, Episode 4. Hope you're enjoying the show, because it's top-notch. It's probably the best thing going on in TV right now. And have a nice week, and comment down below, like if you like, dislike if you dislike, share this out please. Thank you and have a nice day.